Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Tawny Michelle. We are not all love, light, twin flames, and unicorns over here, so please keep that in mind. And in today's video, we are doing the long-awaited Q&A. I asked you guys if you had any questions that basically you wanted me to answer for you, and so that is what we are doing in today's video. You guys asked some juicy questions. Also, before we start, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. It is on and poppin' over there. I post so much stuff to Instagram, so if you really want to keep up with me or you like my content, I don't freaking know. Let's go rock out over on Instagram. And also follow me on TikTok if you want to learn the basics of astrology and spirituality, etc. I'm doing a lot of learning content over there. I'm not sure why or how that started, I just did. But if you would like me to do more learning content over here too, like more in-depth videos, let me know, because I'm thinking about doing some, because I've had some requests for that. So anyways, Lego. We got almost 50 questions, so I'm gonna try to answer as many as I can. Okay, so the first question: how do you discern your intuition from other voices? Is it a tone of voice we should look for? Also, what are other methods of meditation? And how do you know you're doing it right, especially with all the voices? When it comes to your intuition, how to basically know the difference between fear and your own intuition, etc., etc. Your own intuition is not going to come with some kind of fear, usually. It's not going to be driven from some sort of fear. So if you're scared of something or you're triggered by something, that is normally not your intuition. It normally comes from a neutral place, and you normally just kind of feel it. You just kind of, it's like you know, but you can't explain how you know, kind of thing. And then what other methods to meditation, and how do you know that you're doing it right? With meditation, there's really not like a right way to do it. Meditation is literally like letting your mind do what it does. If you're trying to do something certain, that's not necessarily meditation. You're trying to force it. Eventually, once you let your mind kind of wander, eventually you learn how to detach. You learn how to detach from your thoughts, where you can just watch your thoughts instead of be attached to them. But another thing that I personally like to do if my mind's very busy and I can't sleep or I'm meditating is I like to focus on my breath. I like to do some sort of like breathing pattern, breathing deeply into my like lower stomach or lower back, and then, you know, exhaling, you know, and like when you're breathing deep, like maybe breathing in deep for 3 to 5 seconds and exhaling for 3 to 5 seconds, and that can help calm you down and calm your mind down. Okay, this is a juicy one. Seeing shadow people in the night and now in the morning, even hearing things like songs and more. I don't know what to do. Is this a spiritual awakening or someone putting something on me? There's such like a trend nowadays of people talking about like hexing and cursing, etc., etc. Now, I believe in it, but I also don't. It's really kind of hard to explain. It's really about what angle or mindset or outlook you're looking through to look at this situation. Now, I know for me personally, anytime that I've had experiences exactly like this one, I was the one doing it. And that's what's so crazy about this. And it is hard to explain. But when you fear something, you give it more power, which amplifies it. So anytime that I felt like, you know, something was haunting me or something weird was going on, etc., like even just a few months ago, this happened when I first moved into this apartment. I started having all kinds of weird shit happening. I was having like really horrific, gruesome nightmares. I was having like loop dreams where I would be like in a loop having the same dream over and over again. I mean, it was like nuts. I was seeing stuff like weird creatures and stuff, and I was scared to death. But I was already scared when I moved in here, and that's the thing, because I was by myself and I was like, I didn't know, it was a new place, so my fear was kind of manifesting, and I would like think about all of these different things, like what if this happened or what if this happened, and all of a sudden weird shit started manifesting. That's how powerful we are, and that's how powerful the subconscious mind is. The more that you focus on something, the more fear, the more paranoid you are about it, the more you're gonna see it happening. Which is why, like, when you're watching a scary movie and all of a sudden you hear something or you see something out of the corner of your eye, that's why that kind of shit happens, because you're already in a state of fear and you're like hyper alert looking for it. So what I recommend is first recognizing this, because once you become aware of this, you're like, okay, like, am I the one freaking doing this? And it starts actually making like a lot of sense, and you can like kind of take a step back and be like, okay, like, what am I really scared of here? And go into that fear and face that fear. You know, like if you're scared of the shadow people, okay, what's so scary about them? You know, like, what are you so scared of about them? And when you kind of like accept that fear, it kind of takes the fear away from it. Therefore, it's every time that I've done this, it stopped happening. Every time I stopped caring and stopped fearing it, I no longer had any kind of incidences happening. Also, another thing is try to find humor in it. Humor is like the best medicine for this as well, because you're not, you know, it takes away the fear as well. So I had a lot of these experiences anytime I've had a spiritual awakening, but also just at different points in my life. And anytime that I quit being scared of it, it no longer had power over me, and I no longer had this type of shit happening. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so someone asked basically how to stay grounded and not allow other people's thoughts and opinions consume you, how to stop holding yourself back, also self-doubt, especially with everything going on in the world. Okay, so this is what I look at it. And my methods are very different. If you've been here for any amount of time, then you likely know this. I look at things very different. I'm a Libra sun in the 3rd house, so I'm always looking at the other side of shit, right? Like, I'm always looking at the side that's not being looked at, because likely that's what you need to balance it out, right? I also have a shit ton of Scorpio energy, so I'm very much about going into the darkness instead of running from it and letting it get bigger and bigger and control you. So basically, with this, first, I would say you would need to go into your self-doubt. What are you so scared of? And what are you afraid other people are going to think about you? Because chances are you already think that about you. So that's what you need to address. You need to do shadow work on the self-doubt. And I have a whole in-depth video on shadow work. You need to do shadow work on the self-doubt. You need to face the fear. Confidence does not come sitting around while you're waiting for it to come to do something. No, it comes when you actually face the fear. It comes when you actually get through it and you're like, wow, okay, I actually did that shit, you know, and then you start becoming more confident within yourself. Also, with everything going on in the world, this is how I've had to look at it. At some point, you have to get real with yourself and accept what's going on. No matter how scary it is, no matter how shitty it is, it doesn't mean that you have to like it. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with it or that you're condoning it at all, okay? It does not mean that you can't say shit about it. It does not mean that you can't speak up or speak your truth or whatever. It just means that at some point, you have to accept the reality of what's happening in the world, because that's what's happening. And when you're not accepting it, it looks like you being obsessive and fearful about it and letting it hold you back from doing certain things. That's being scared of it. That's not accepting it. So once you accept it, you get to this point of, can I actually do something about it? Is this in my control or is it not in my control? And I would say with everything going on in the world, yeah, a lot of it is not in your control. So when you get to that point and you accept that you're powerless over a lot of the shit that's going on, then you can kind of take all of the weight and the fear off your shoulders and you feel like a sense of relief. It sucks. Like, yeah, you wish you could change it, but worrying about it is only making you suffer more, you know? Like, there's this quote, like, worrying about it makes you suffer twice kind of thing. It's not doing anything. It's just making you miserable while you're worried about some kind of future outcome. You know what I mean? That's only a possibility. But if you accept the way that things are currently and that you have no power in some situations to change anything, it's not in your control. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you have to like get down with it and agree with it and condone it. You can still speak up about it, but it takes the fear out of it and you're not sitting in fear constantly waiting for the world to end. Basically, I was like, kind of dark and twisted as it sounds, I had to do the same thing. I had to get real with myself. Like, okay, if the world goes to shit, what can I really do about that? You know, especially right now. Like, yeah, it's like kind of in shit right now, but it's not completely gone to shit. So how am I supposed to do something about a possible future outcome right now? And I'm only one person and a lot of it's out of my fucking control. All I can do is let it fucking go and say, okay, if it happens, it happens. What am I gonna do about it? Like, honestly, what the fuck am I gonna do about it? Nothing. So what I am gonna do though is, yeah, it's definitely not something that I like, and I can speak my truth and I can speak up about the things that I see, but I don't have to sit here and fear over it. You know what I mean? And yeah, it sucks. It's a shitty thing to accept and come to. It actually is also very freeing. And so you kind of find liberation in the acceptance of it and the lack of control of it, and how to not let other thoughts and opinions affect you. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be something that we all do from time to time throughout our whole lives. It's something that I have to work on it myself. It's like when I'm focusing on me and what I love to do and not focusing on other people or even helping other people, like I've learned for me personally that when I focus on what I love to do, which involves helping other people, but it's not helping other people because I want their feedback or because I want something out of it. It's just because I actually love to do it. And when I bring it back to me, like, okay, I'm doing these videos because I love to do these videos and I love to talk about this stuff and all of that, then it takes the weight of the outcome off my shoulders. Same thing as kind of what I was saying before. And how to stay grounded is to be in the here and now and to keep reminding yourself, keep getting real with yourself. Do I have control over this or not? Basically. Okay, so someone asked how to feel like I still feel fit in when around other people. I feel like I don't fit in anymore and feel so isolated in my thoughts and outlook and how I now see the world. Wow, okay, so I don't know if you mean because of like a spiritual awakening that you went through recently or because of the current world events or even both. But I struggle with this as well, so I feel you, and I've struggled with this for a while. Honestly, I don't have that many people in my life. I have just like a couple really close friends, and then my boyfriend, which if you don't follow me on Instagram, me and my boyfriend did get back together. I know, stop, don't don't judge me, but no, we're really good. So anyways, but I literally just keep the people that I do, you know, really connect with around me. And if you don't have anyone like that, then when you're around other people, look for the things that you can relate on instead of the things that you can't relate on. And I think if we all did that, if we all tried to find a way to relate to each other without only focusing on the differences, then I think things would be a lot different. We wouldn't be so divided, you know? That's what I would say about that situation. Try to find different, even online groups where you feel like you fit in. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I'm really sorry. I know how that feels. All right, someone asked about angel numbers. I don't necessarily call them that. I just call them synchronicities or numbers, whatever. Basically, I don't use sites normally to look them up. I use basically my own personal experience. And so what I tell people a lot of the times when they're seeing numbers is to journal every time you see it and what's going on, what was just going through your mind, what you were thinking about, if there was somebody around you, like anything that was just going on inside of you or around you at the time, and keep journaling. Don't try to figure it out, just keep journaling, and eventually go back through when you have enough times that you've seen the number or the different numbers, see what was happening. Another way is to think what that number means to you. Is it the same month as your birthday, like when you were born? Like for instance, like I've been seeing 4s a lot for like over like the whole last year, and there was a lot going on with like family and home for me. It like made a lot of sense because I kind of look at 4 as home and family, and also like foundation and stability, somewhat from astrology in the 4th house, I guess, but that's kind of how I look at the number 4. So it just kind of depends on your own opinion, because I don't think they would be showing you numbers like if you believe they're angel numbers, or if you believe that whoever you believe is showing you these numbers. Normally when you get signs or synchronicities, it normally is something personal to you. So you have to, it doesn't have to be this complex thing. Even dreams are like this. It's normally something a little bit more simple and basic that means something to you, instead of like, you know, what Google says it means or what somebody else says it means. You know, it's normally like, why would the universe or whoever be showing you these signs that are some complex thing that you have to like go and track down? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, yeah, I guess that could happen sometimes, but I think of it more as something personal to you. So okay, so soul contracts and if generational curses are a real thing. I think generational trauma and patterns are a real thing. As many people as I've worked with, plus with my own family, I have seen so many people have generational karma and patterns and shit like that, where it's like insane. They all keep doing the same thing and not even aware of it. It's like so insane, some of the people that I've worked with that have had this happen, and even in my own experience, how everything is just so connected. So yeah, I would say that's a real thing. I feel that some people are here to break that pattern, so it's just, I mean, I feel like you can work on breaking it, but the first thing is understanding it and being aware of it and doing the shadow work to realize it. Soul contracts, I kind of believe that yes, we have certain connections here in this lifetime, whether it's a soulmate or whatever you want to call it, that are here to teach us lessons. I mean, if you, like, obviously if you're a human, you've had connections in your life that have felt like, holy shit, I've known this person forever, or holy shit, this connection is nothing like I've ever had before. Like, whether it's a friend or a relationship or whatever, you just feel like a super familiarity there. Like, it's like boom. And like, normally, you know, they end up ushering you through some kind of situation in your life, or, you know, they come in at an important time in your life, or they shake shit up, you know. And so, yeah, I believe that I believe that, you know, most of our connections in this life are definitely here to play a part. Okay, so someone asked how to start showing up for their channel using tarot and astrology, shadow work, etc. Okay, I've gone through so many phases where I've been super into it, super inspired and super motivated, and then I kind of like like start backing away, and it starts feeling not authentic and not genuine, and it starts feeling too much like a burden or a responsibility, or, you know, a restriction. It starts just feeling like restrictive, and I have to like back the hell off. So what happens though, what I've noticed in the pattern of where I've done this, is I start thinking way too much about, like, are people liking me? Like, am I going to grow? Like, people aren't watching my videos, or are they watching my videos? Like, I start thinking way too much about that shit, like validation basically, and what I want, you know, and like all of these types of things. And I lose the focus of why I'm doing it in the first place. And so I would say, to get back to the reason why you wanted to do it in the first place, get back to what you're passionate about, and really hone in on that, instead of, you know, whatever the fuck else is going on. You know what I mean? You can really start questioning shit when you're not doing it, like when your mind's not in the right place on why you're doing it, and it can start feeling heavy and burdensome, and so you start procrastinating and you don't understand why. So I would say there's something there where you're thinking about it differently than you were in the beginning, and that's what you need to somehow reconcile. Hopefully that made sense. Do you experience physical changes when going through an awakening? Yes. Like, yes. I don't know, like, how long you've been here, but I feel like I look completely different. Like, yeah, obviously I have makeup on. If you follow me on Instagram, I do stories and shit though all the time without makeup. So I still feel like I look completely different than when I first started doing YouTube. I feel like I look like a whole different person than I did, you know, before my spiritual journey like really actually begun. My body started changing, like just so many things. And even when I like start healing trauma, certain parts of my body start changing. It's really interesting, because I believe that we do hold trauma and that energy in certain areas of our body, and so when we start healing it and releasing it, that part of our body starts changing. And I almost feel like I look younger at times than I did when I was younger. It's like so crazy, but yes, I totally think that's a thing. Okay, what's the most easy, effective way of opening your solar plexus chakra? Okay, so I'll try to answer this. I don't believe that it's necessarily about opening the chakras. I believe that they're already open. It's just our mind and the shit that we come up with closes it off. And so when it comes to the solar plexus, I'm pretty sure what deals, from what I've noticed, at least with myself, is like shame, embarrassment, not feeling good enough. Because I think of the solar plexus as almost like the sun, which rules Leo. So I almost think about it like, and I know for me personally, when I have like a strong core right there in your stomach, I'm feeling confident, I am feeling good about myself, I am feeling authentic, I am feeling like I am in my truth, I am feeling aligned, and I am feeling good enough. But anytime that I'm not, I notice a difference. So I would say it really deals with your own thoughts about yourself and your own feelings about yourself. If you're feeling strong within yourself, and doing the shadow work to work on that can really help issues that you're having. Okay, someone asked, how long did it take you to be ready to do a YouTube channel when it came to doing cards? So a long time. I started with a different channel, if you didn't know, before this one, where I was doing beauty related stuff and talking about different topics and opinionated topics. I had started my spiritual journey at that point, but doing what I was doing on that channel almost kind of pulled me away from it, and I had to kind of lower my thinking into good and bad and right and wrong. It just, yeah, it wasn't working eventually, and I kind of lost myself. So basically, I had already been learning tarot through that whole time, through those couple years, and I didn't know there was a genre on for tarot on here. And so eventually, when I found out there was, I was like, holy shit, like spirituality and all of that shit is on there, which is awesome because I'm getting back into my spirituality and doing what I love. And so I'm gonna start doing videos on this and just see how it goes. So I don't know, like for me, it was just kind of like, I get it. Like I remember when I first started my first YouTube channel, I was scared to death. I was like, oh my God. But I don't know, I just did it. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. I know people go back and forth, but if you really want it, and if you really feel like you're supposed to do it, then you'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's scary for some people at first, and it was scary for me at first, but I just did it, you know? Like, I'm sorry. That's like the best advice that I got. How to master meditation. I don't think there's like, see, that's the thing. We as humans always think that we have to like master something, and there really isn't. There's always something else that you can do. Just like healing, there's always something else that you can heal. So with meditation, it's like getting grounded would be staying in the here and now. It would be learning to allow your thoughts to kind of go, and learning eventually how to detach from your thoughts. Meditation is basically a complete surrender. That's how I look at it. How do you master surrender? You know what I mean? Like it kind of defeats the purpose of surrender. So it's more so allowing yourself to completely surrender your mind, body, everything, you know what I mean? And just letting it be. That's how I look at it, at least. Okay, so this is a controversial one. Someone asked me about lower vibrational beings, evil spirits, and demons. And this is something that really used to bother me when I first was on my spiritual journey, because it was something that I never really knew if I believed in or not. And I would think like, okay, like, is this something that's real or is it not? And what I've really come to understand for myself, this is just me speaking for myself, you do not have to believe me. I personally believe that there may be entities, but I also believe that our fear plays an important role. And if you're scared of them, if you are fearing them, that gives the whole thing power. Like I said before, our mind is very powerful and our subconscious is very powerful. And so that gives kind of like the whole entire situation power to basically like control you, you know, like possessions that have happened normally with like people that are very religious, right? Like, or people that are afraid of that kind of thing. So it really deals with fear. It really deals with your fear. If you are psychic and you're able to talk to different entities, I would say make sure they verify who they are, is something that I've heard with psychics that psychics do. But the fear is what feeds it. And so that's what you have to reconcile that fear within yourself, so you're not fearing that, and so it doesn't give that power, you know what I mean? So that's how I view it. I still don't know if I truly like believe, I believe at a higher level, if you believe in angels and demons, that they're working together. That's what I personally believe. But anyways, okay, so somebody said, is it possible to go through an awakening more than once? Yes, I've went through so many awakenings. You can almost look at it as you never stop learning. You never stop becoming aware of yourself. We are so complex and there's so much to us. So there's always something new to become awakened about. You know what I mean? There's always a new way of looking at something. There's always a new concept or a new filter that you're looking through, you know, like, so there's always going to be more. So yes, you can awaken multiple times, way more than once. If you continue on your spiritual journey, that is definitely something that you will likely notice happening. Okay, someone asked if I had any experience with DMT, ayahuasca, or any other shamanic tool. Yes, I have had experience with both. I am definitely a psychedelic advocate, and I think that they can be very powerful tools to help somebody in their spiritual journey, to help someone awaken, to help someone heal. But I believe that they need to be used with the right intentions and for the right reasons, and in safe spaces with people that know what the hell they're doing. Okay, so someone said, how do you remove blockages? Blockages are more of shadow work. Blockages are the things that you create, that you think about yourself, that hold you back. And I have a whole video on shadow work and how to do it, super in depth. So it is basically facing those blockages. That's how you do it. Ignoring them does not work. Trying to brainwash yourself to think positive does not work. It is about bringing them to the light, because once they're in the light, they're no longer in the shadows. So that is what it's about. Okay, so someone said they know that they're supposed to be doing something with speaking or tarot, but they can't seem to decide. Also, they said they think they're in a twin flame union and wondering if they are so scattered because the other person is going through an awakening. So yes, what I've noticed, I don't know about the whole twin flame thing. I'm not sure that I necessarily believe that all the way, but I noticed that with my boyfriend personally, we mirror the hell out of each other, and I don't think it's ever been like this with anyone else that I've been with. Like literally, like one day I say this thing and he disagrees, and then the next day he says the same thing and now I disagree. Like it's never like we are never on the same page. It's insane. And we're always like switching places just constantly. So I would say yes, that's a very good possibility. With what you're supposed to be doing, what I tell people to find your passion is, first off, you can look at your chart if you know how to read astrology, but even if not, people seem to always want to think in so literal terms, like I have to be a doctor, or I have to be a dentist, or I have to be a teacher. Like, no, you can create your whole new own thing. It doesn't have to be like perfect, and if you try it and it doesn't work out, you can try something else, but at least just do it, and do it all the way. You know what I mean? Put your all into it. All it really takes is a decision to say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna try this. Like, and you can also go through your life and see what you've been really passionate about, what has really fueled you all the time throughout your life. And what were you really interested in growing up? What did you really want to do? And how you can tie those themes into whatever it is that you're doing can really help. So, all right, someone said how to stop getting triggered by people who test you constantly and everything you think you've learned. Wow. Okay. So first off, to do the shadow work. I know I keep saying that, but it is really true. Why do they trigger you? What are they mirroring in you? Because chances are you may be second guessing yourself, and so this is a mirror kind of reflecting back at you and you don't like it. So understanding why they trigger you, what's being triggered in you, like what are they triggering in you? Is it making you question yourself? Is it making you unsure? Does it make you feel bad? Like what is it? And then go into the patterns of that. You know, where have the patterns played out with this before? And because if you were truly confident in what you believed, whatever they said wouldn't trigger you. That's the thing. And you wouldn't really be around them if you could help it. You know, I don't know if you work with them or what, but or if it's your family. If you were truly firm and sure in what you believed, then they wouldn't be triggering you so much. So that's what you kind of have to go into. Like, are you questioning yourself and why, and what is the trigger, and how can you see yourself in them, and how can maybe, and then also look at their side of it. How can they maybe see themselves in you? And that can really give you a whole nother perspective that helps you not be so triggered. Someone said their third eye keeps on vibrating. Do I have any advice? This has happened to me. I've never experienced anything bad with the third eye opening. I guess maybe if you weren't ready, or if, but then again, why would it be happening if you're not ready? You know, especially if you're not trying to do anything to provoke it or trigger it or whatever. I don't know. I would just say allow it to happen, surrender to it. How do you know if spirit is talking to you or your own thoughts? So basically, normally, at least for me, it's like I can tell it's just not my own. It's just like something just randomly pops up in my head. There was no train of thought that led to that. It's just all of a sudden I just know, and I don't know how I know. So that's like the best way I can describe that. It feels like it's like something from the outside. And it's like a neutral feeling. It's not, and it's obviously something that isn't fear related. Someone asked, what is your take on prescribed medicines affecting spiritual growth and abilities? This is more of a personal thing. I'm not necessarily against prescribed medicine, you know, like everybody has their own path, you know, I've been down that path, I get it. But I do think that depending on what medicine it is, it could possibly affect your natural state of being, whether that is your emotions or your mind or whatever. And they said they wonder if the depression was a part of awakening to begin with. Yeah, and that it resulted in hospitalization. So did mine. So no, a lot of people think awakening is literally like, oh my God, this is great, yes. Like, no, it's normally something very brutal, very transformational, because to think about it, you have to wake up, just like in The Matrix. And I know that movie is always so overused, but like, it's not fun for him to wake up. It's like kind of brutal. You know what I mean? When you're waking up to something, it's like waking up from a nightmare, right? And even though you're like happy to kind of be awake, it's still like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? Like it can affect you on like a really insane level. But for it to make a difference, if you think about it, it has to be that intense. It has to be that, that profound for it to stick. And so at least that's the way I think about my own awakening, and from what I've seen other people go through. Depression is very common in the beginning. It's not something that is, it's something a lot of people don't talk about, because you do feel different. You do feel like, oh my God, have I been living a lie this whole time, So that's what I would say about that. Okay, what's the difference between Western astrology and Vedic astrology, and which do you think is more accurate? I'm curious, because each would actually change your zodiac sign. So here's the thing, and this may be controversial, but this is why I use tropical astrology. Sidereal astrology or Vedic astrology uses fixed stars, but even the stars have moved over time, so they've had to completely change it. And there's so many different schools of thought on sidereal astrology and Vedic astrology and the system that they use, but it's pinned to the fixed stars. So that's why if you were to walk outside and look up and use an app, it would look like Saturn and Jupiter are still in Capricorn instead of Aquarius, where they are in tropical astrology. But that's because they're using the constellations, the stars. Tropical uses the planets, which is what astrology was originally supposed to be about, the planets and the movement of the sun and how everything moves around the sun. So basically, tropical astrology split the sky into equal sections. Vedic astrology apparently split the sky into equal sections as well. And when it originally was created, the stars or the constellations, at least this is how I explain it. I may get some things wrong, so just excuse me, but this is how I've understood it. When they originally like split the sky into the zodiac, into the 12 signs, the stars then aligned with where tropical had the signs as well. But tropical relies on the orbit of the sun and the planets to dictate the signs instead of the stars. And so sidereal wanted to pin the signs to something in the sky, so they pinned it to the stars. But over time, even the stars moved, and then so it all started kind of falling apart with sidereal. So I use tropical because it makes the most sense to me. Like, astrology is about the planets to me, and like, yes, you can use fixed stars for different things, but even in sidereal, there's a bunch of confusion on like where 0 degrees Aries even starts. You can't look in the sky and know for sure. There's no star there for 0 degrees Aries. And so now it's just kind of like a clusterfuck, and there's so many people out there that, just get into sidereal or whatever, trying to say like, oh yeah, this is the right way, this is the one true way. And that's not necessarily the case. Not that I think sidereal can't be accurate or that people shouldn't practice it or anything like that. And sidereal has a bunch of badass, techniques and methods, and just it's really beautiful how many different, methods that they have. But when it comes to looking at the actual sky and determining what is where and where the zodiac lies and how it is, to me, tropical makes the most sense. I feel like it's a tropical sky. And so that is basically how I view it. Sidereal and Vedic astrology relies on the fixed stars of the constellations, but the constellations could be anything. You could look at the constellation and it could be anything, like, but the actual tropical doesn't have like a star there to signify this is where it's at. It's just kind of like it's all equal. And sidereal says that it's all equal too, but yet the constellations are different sizes. So that's why, to me, tropical makes more sense. But that's what I'm going to say about that. I'm not trying to be controversial, but that's how I've understood it. And who I've understood it from is Vic Dakara here on YouTube. He has a whole channel and he's done tons of videos talking about sidereal versus tropical, because he uses a tropical zodiac but sidereal methods. And the way that he explains it is just beautiful. It makes so much more sense in tropical astrology and why I use it. So anyways, okay you guys, that is basically it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this. If you guys end up liking this video and sharing it and wanting more and commenting down below, then I can definitely do more of these in the future. But I will see you guys in my other videos. Bye.